Streptospondylus. Streptospondylus, meaning reversed vertebra, is a genus of tetanurine theropod dinosaur known from the late Jurassic period of France, 161 million years ago. It was a medium-sized predator with an estimated length of 6 meters, 19.5 feet, and a weight of 500 kilograms, 1,100 pounds. Discovery and naming. Streptospondylus was one of the first dinosaurs collected and was the first described, though not the first dinosaur named. It was not recognized as a theropod dinosaur until 2001. In 1778, Abbé Charles Bachelay, 1716–1795, a Norman naturalist, reported the presence of fossil bones in the Calivo-Oxfordian formations, either the Marne de Dives or the overlying Marne de Villers, probably the former, exposed at the foot of the Vache Noire cliffs between Villers-sur-Mer and Holgate. These fossil materials contained theropod vertebrae and marine crocodilian remains. After the death of Bachelay, his fossil cabinet was acquired by the École Centrale de Rouen. Louis Benoit Guerzon, 1777–1848, professor of natural history in this school, drew the attention of Georges Cuvier to this remarkable fossil bones. With the agreement of the prefect of Saint-Onfrere, Count Jacques-Claude Buguenot, Guerzon sent the collection to the Muséum National d'Histoire Naturelle in Paris. In 1800, these fossils were briefly mentioned by Georges Cuvier, who misspelled the name of their former owner as Bachelay. In 1808, Cuvier scientifically described the theropod vertebrae as the first dinosaur remains ever. However, he considered them to be crocodilian and associated them with fossils of the Teleosauridae and the Metriorhynchidae. In 1822, Cuvier, by the work of Henri de Labèche, became aware that these finds were very disparate, stemming from different periods. He abstained from naming them, but in 1824 concluded that there were two main types. In 1825, Etienne Geoffroy-Saint-Hilaire accordingly named two crocodilian skulls as the genus Stenosaurus, the one, specimen MNHN 8900, becoming Stenosaurus rostra major, the other, MNHN 8902, S. rostrometer. In 1832, however, the German paleontologist Christian Erich Hermann von Meyer split the material. Stenosaurus rostrometer was renamed Metriorhynchus geoffroyi, while Stenosaurus rostra major became Streptospondylus altrafensis. To the last species the theropod remains were referred. The generic name is derived from Greek sigma tau rho epsilon pi tau omicron sigma slash streptos, reversed, and sigma pi omicron nu delta upsilon lambda omicron sigma slash spondylos, vertebra, alluding to the fact that the vertebrae differed from typical crocodile elements in being episocole, convex in front and concave behind. The specific name refers to Altdorf, where some teleosaurid remains had also been found. Von Meyer's name was the first binomial name, also, referring to a theropod. In 1842, Richard Owen pointed out that von Meyer had been incorrect in changing the original specific name and created the correct combination Streptospondylus rostra major for Streptospondylus altrafensis. At the same time, he created a second species, Streptospondylus cuvieri, based on a single damaged vertebra from the Biocean, found near Chipping Norton. In 1861, Owen would refer the entire Cuvier material to S. Cuvieri, despite the fact that if it were co-specific the name S. rostra major would have priority. From that time S. Cuvieri was generally accepted in the literature as the valid name, though some workers split off the theropod remains from the crocodilian bones. Edward Drinker Cope in 1867 naming Elaelaps gallicus and Friedrich von Huene in 1909 a Megalosaurus cuvieri. In 1964, Alec Donald Walker discovered Owen's mistake, referring the entire theropod material to the new species U. Streptospondylus divesensis, which, however, had a skull not belonging to the Cuvier material as the type specimen, MNHN 1920-7. In 1977, Philippe Taquet created the genus Pividosaurus for this species. In 2001, Rohn and Elaine concluded that no connection could be proven between Pividosaurus and the referred other theropod material from Normandy. He also pointed out that the skull von Meyer had based Streptospondylus altrafensis on was in fact a composite of bones from two species, since named Stenosaurus Edward C. de Longchamp 1866 and Metriorhynchus superciliosum Blainville 1853, Steele 1973. A lectotype had never been chosen from one of the composite parts to give the name Streptospondylus priority over either one of these species. Elaine used this situation to remove all the crocodilian material from the Streptospondylus type by designating the complete, postcranial, theropod material as the lectotype. As Stenosaurus rostra major had been based on the composite skull, the epithet rostra major now no longer had priority over altrafensis. This way in 2001 Streptospondylus altrophensis became the valid name and type species of a theropod. Laelaps gallicus and Megalosaurus cuvieri are its subjective junior synonyms. The lectotype specimens, MNHN 8605-09, 8787-89, 8793-94, 8907, were probably found at the coast and layers of the Falaise des Vaches Noires near Calvados, dating from the late Palovian or early Oxfordian, about 161 million years old. They consist of several vertebrae series, single vertebrae, a partial left pubis and limb elements. The longest vertebra has a length of 97 mm, indicating a total body length of about 7 meters. Also a partial left femur, MNHN 9645, has been referred. Streptospondylus has been diagnosed by several osteological details, among which the possession of two hypophyses on the ventrally flat anterior dorsal vertebrae and the particular connection between the astragalus and the tibia, without a posterior astragalar process but with a distinctive buttress on the tibia above the anterior process. Owen also named two other species, S. major, S. recenter as a museum label for syntype specimens, and S. mayeri, of which the former is based on iguanodont material. His S. cuvieri, of which the type specimen is lost, is today considered a nomen dubium. In 2010 Gregory S. Paul renamed, as an informal name, Magnosaurus into Streptospondylus nethercombensis. Phylogeny. Earlier assigned to crocodilian groups, Streptospondylus was in the 20th century typically classified in the Megalosauridae. Recent analyses indicate that Streptospondylus is a tetanurine theropod. Elaine in 2001 suggested that it was closely related to U. Streptospondylus in the Spinosauroidea. Roger Benson in 2008 and 2010 concluded that whether it is a megalosauroid, allosauroid, or a more primitive form cannot be determined because of its extremely fragmentary remains. Later cladistic analysis by Benson and colleagues from 2010 indicated that Streptospondylus was the sister species of Megnosaurus within the Megalosauridae. Carano et al. 2012. Placed Streptospondylus at Megalosauria incerticetus due to its fragmentary nature.